Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Pull up a chair at punchboardmedia.com.
So we're here at XYZ Game Labs here and checking out with the designer and CEO of XYZ Game Labs.
Yes,
I'm going to get his
that's
name
us.
right here. So we have Andy. I keep calling you Andy. Andrew.
Okay.
Adam McCrimmon.
That's me. I'm Adam.
That's him. So we're checking out Arch Ravles, which is a knitting game.
Yeah, so Arch Ravles is a competitive order fulfillment, resource management, action selection game set in the colorful and crafty world of fiber arts. So in this game, you're gonna take on the role of one of 4 different crafter types. So here we've got Derek. He's the master crafter. He can craft more items than anyone. We've got Neha, the color specialist. She can ignore color rules when she crafts things.
Okay.
We have Theo. He is a thrifty shopper, so he gets to shop more than anyone else does. And Ted, who is the yarn spinner, he makes his own yarn. So one of his actions is to just take some yarn instead of shopping for it.
Okay.
So a little bit of asymmetric powers, 4 different crafter types. Each player is going to get a bunch of patterns they can make. These are the patterns it takes. This is the yarn and what combinations it takes to make these items. And the core thing you're doing in this game is you're collecting yarn bits from the bazaar, putting them in your bowl, and then using them to complete these items.
Okay.
When you complete any of these items, you get little chits that have the item and the points they're worth on the back. Sorry, apologize for the Band-Aid.
That's fine.
And these points in the back, when you get those, you can trade these in to complete projects, which is the main way you make points in the game.
Okay.
So for instance, if I wanted to do lumberjack, I'm gonna need a hat, which you can see there costs 2 different color yarn, and I'm gonna need a scarf, which for this player is a purple, blue, orange, and yellow, but there are 6 different combinations of what they could have had.
Okay.
Those are dealt out randomly at the beginning of the game. So not only are you going to use those to figure out how do you make your items, what yarn do you need to make your items, but for each of these middle ones, you can learn the pattern.
Okay.
Which instead means instead of keeping this item and using it towards a project, you could turn it in. You still get the points it's worth, so you still get 3 points, but you turn this back in, and now, for the rest of the game, you only need 3 yarn in 2 colors. You no longer need them to be blue and yellow. You just need them to be 2 different colors.
Okay.
So you can use that to level up your character a little bit and figure out which color yarn you're either not getting enough of or you're getting too much of, to figure out how do I need to tune my board in order to be more efficient with my crafting.
Okay.
So the game is action selection, so each player has their own action selection marker that matches their board, and on a turn you're going to choose one action spot, perform that action, and then next turn, you gotta move it somewhere else.
Okay.
So the main 2 that you're gonna use are shopping and crafting. Shopping is how many cards you take from the yarn bazaar. So if I was gonna shop for 3 here, and I want a lot of yarn, I might take all these 3s and get 9 yarn in a turn.
Okay.
If it's late game, because leftover yarn hurts you at the end of the game, if it's late game, maybe I wanna take only these 3, because I only get 6 yarn. Either way, once you take some cards and you take the yarn and put it in your bowl, your action is done, and now you restock. And when you restock, there's 3 things that can happen. 1, you can just get more yarn. 2, you can get action cards that the current player has to resolve. So in this case, we got a Tangled Cat. They would be able to choose a player. That player cannot craft until their next turn, and to signify that, we would take the Cat Meeple and put it in their bowl. The other thing that can come out of that deck, other than action cards, are special requests.
Okay.
So these are requests from friends and fans to make unique or one-of-a-kind items. So when these come up, the current player gets to decide if they're going to keep it for themselves or they're going to give it to another player. Either way, the player who gets this is going to have to craft it by the end of the game, otherwise they will lose those points.
Okay.
So there's 26 of those in the game. You play with a number tied to the number of players you're playing with. So every game can feel pretty different because of the fact that you're not getting the same special requests every game at all. And then for each of the player boards, I lost my train of thought. That happens sometimes at cons.
Yes.
We're saying these same words over and over and over again
Yes,
many times.
you get con brain, so.
A little bit, yeah, absolutely. What do I want to say? It's super fun. It may feel, looking at this, like it's a little bit of a lighter weight game, and it is. It's a Gateway Plus title. The idea was to make something that is got enough depth and intrigue and crunchiness for those of us who really like to min and max our turns, right? The hardcore gamers. I love finding a way to make sure that I can get the maximum points and most efficient use of my resources. That's my favorite things about a game, but that's not everybody's favorite thing about a game. Right. Some people just love the theme, they love the feel, they love the action you're taking, and this game's got a little bit of that, a little bit of all those things in it. So whether you are an experienced gamer, or you're a brand new gamer, or you're a casual gamer, you'll be able to understand this and play this. You'll learn it in 5 minutes. And I've played it thousands of times now, which happens when you design it and then publish it, right? You play it a lot.
Yes.
No two games have ever felt the same to me, and I'm never bored of it, which is saying something, right? Because when you have to demo a game 100 times in a weekend, not being able to get bored of it is a good thing.
And then being able to switch up which character you're playing, just try a different ability and everything. So.
Exactly, and all the characters are a little bit asymmetric. Each one of these player boards is also double-sided, so there's multiple versions of each character. So in this case, for the yarn spinner, who can take 3 of one color and then make one thing, so that's their special ability. You've got Eliza or Ted, and then for the thrifty shopper, you've got Theo and Rebecca. And then Neha and Alex and Derek and Amara. So there's a little bit of a flavor there for whoever you are. Whatever character speaks to you, hopefully we got something there for you.
Okay, awesome. And then you have something coming to Kickstarter soon.
We do, yeah. Our next game that's coming to Kickstarter is called Titania Ascending.
Okay.
It is the first cooperative flip and write. So in this game, you and your fellow players are Queen Titania's, I'm going to show you Queen Titania, are Queen Titania's High Council of Sorcerers. And what you are doing is you are helping her to divine the correct units to send to Earth to capture and control Earth.
Okay.
Those units are things like sirens, rakshasas, golems, yarthkins, pixies, wisps, all sorts of fae-type creatures. The way you do that is it's a flip and write. So you're going to have these cards that have symbols on them. Those symbols, you'll notice on this card, there's a 1, and then there's a dragon and 2 TAs. And both these little things down here are lit up. That is because in this game, what you have to write on your board is decided by a bag pull of a rune and a flipping of a card. So in this case, if I was going to write this symbol on my map, I would put down a 5 for the dragon, a 1, and then the slashes twice.
Okay.
So when I put this shape on my map, where I draw it is going to matter for the team. You have to capture 6 citadels during the course of the game. In the first round, Ascension or Divination, you are trying to figure out which units need to go to which citadels, and you do that by one player putting a symbol in the circle or in the square with a crown.
Okay.
So if I was to put these slashes right here, then every player I'm playing with in that cooperative game, for this column, everyone puts this in at the bottom. I have now locked in that is what this column citadel needs. In the second phase of the game, we're going to attempt to deliver all of these. Okay. In the first phase, we identify. In the second phase, we deliver. So in this case, if I was to put a symbol over the hammer, then I would earn for the whole team, and everybody would work on their sheet, that we have earned an aid of whatever that Fae unit is, or that Fae faction is. The game plays over a variable number of rounds because it's all up to the team. When do you lock all 6 of these and move to the second phase, or do you want to push your luck and try and get a few more boons or a few more aid skills before you lock it in and go to the second round? And then the second round, what we're actually going to be doing is shading in the map and covering up the symbols that you just made according to the directions in the backs of these cards.
Okay.
So on the back of the card, when we get to the second phase, now this is us opening the portal and sending things through to Earth.
Okay.
In order to do that, someone's going to have to put this shape on their board, shade in that shape, without covering any Fey units when they do.
Okay.
If they can do that, then we can deliver these troops where they need to be on Earth.
Okay.
So it plays in about 45 minutes. It's super interactive. Like for a cooperative game, every turn you've got to discuss, hey, has anyone earned any boons? What are we locking into what citadel? What skills do we have available? Does anyone want to use skills right now? So it ends up being like a good 45 minutes of really great table talk and conversation about what are we doing, where are we doing it, how are we planning our strategy together as a team, which makes it also really resistant to quarterbacking, which is one of those things in co-op games that, it's not fun. It's not fun when one person at the table is really running the board and everyone else is just there to carry out their actions. In this game, everyone's got their own map. Every one of the maps is a little bit different. So that way you can't place it in the same spot. Putting one shape down does not do the same thing for two players. So this one's coming to Kickstarter in the beginning of November. It'll likely be $29 for the base game. And we're really excited about it. I think it's a really cool new addition to the flip and right world.
Yeah, I personally don't know of any co-op flip and rights.
We don't either. And that's the weird thing is that maybe there is some that we don't know about yet. Obviously, we're talking about American market, so maybe there's some overseas that I don't know about. But as far as we can tell, it's one of the first cooperative flip and rights. And I gotta say, I've always enjoyed the flip and right category or the roll and right category because I like that feeling of figuring out the map and that hard strategy of where do I put my things. And it's really nice to do that with a group of people. And the game's got 3 difficulty levels built into it. There's multiple ways to experience that difficulty. You can make it really hard on yourself, or you can make it really easy on yourself. And what we've noticed is that for players who maybe haven't played very many flip and rights, or the hard strategy of those tends to scare them off maybe, because it's co-op, that doesn't happen with this one. Because you usually have a player with you that probably does know flip and rights really well or is really comfortable with them. So you get a really good mixture of kind of learning how this whole strategy works, but also doing it together with the table for the 45 minutes to an hour it takes to play.
Absolutely, that sounds awesome. So definitely check that out on Kickstarter when that comes through. Hopefully, if I remember, I'll put a link down below when that comes out. I can link it in the description for everybody.
And our preview page for this is already up on Kickstarter.
Okay.
So if you go to XYZ Game Labs /Titania, then that's on our site. There'll be a link there. You can go follow along in the Kickstarter. You can see a little bit more content about the game. We had this really great thing at the con where we've got this flyer that, because this is a cooperative flip and right that can be played remotely easily, we actually made maps as flyers. So you can take one of these and go to this website and you can play around of it right now with the designer.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. And this is available also, you can download this on our website, xyzgamelabs.com/Titania.
Okay, so you can actually try out the game before you even buy it.
Try it out right now. Yeah, you can try it out remotely right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.